All right, welcome into another edition of Fourth Quarter Clutch. Today we're talking about Aquille Carr. If you don't know him, you should get to know him. He's coming up in the NBA draft. He actually just in February he just declared for the NBA draft. He played a stint right after high school over in China. Following that, he came back to the States and he played for in the D League for the Delaware 87ers. Last year, at the end of last year, between November and December, he played about a month, and he then in February here he then declared. So he's very interesting player, actually quite similar to style of play as Nate Robinson as far as his physicality and the way he plays. So that's real interesting. So we're just gonna do a analysis of him and you can read down later on about more about him. So let's start with pros for him. Noah, what do you think? What do you got for his pros of his game?
When you watch his YouTube videos from what he did in high school, what he did in China, what he did with the Delaware 87ers, the thing I'm most impressed with is his ball handling skills. It is wow. My jaw dropped a few times watching the ball handling skills he has. It's really good.
I totally agree. He's breaking people's ankles left and right. Like people are having surgery because they need their ankles fixed. Okay, it's pretty ridiculous. I like his dribble to fake shot is actually really dirty. It's quite impressive actually. What else you got, Noah?
The one thing I really like, and this is what I noticed from his D-League play, he didn't get a lot of playing time, so you have to take his stats with a grain of, not, you can't criticize it entirely. You have to be very hesitant when you look at his stats, but his three-point shooting was really good, 39.8% from the field, and I don't even see that many NBA players that could shoot 39.8% from the field from the three-point range.
Yeah, I totally agree on that, especially with the limited amount of play that he had and the limited minutes he had. With that kind of shooting percentage from the 3-point line, that is really good. And because of his height, I would say that's a real strength for him. And if he goes dribble to step back or something, that would be a huge part of his game, in my opinion.
Oh, correction, there's 39.1% from three-point range. 39.8 is field goal percentage, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah, he can use boosting that a little bit, but we'll get to that in a minute.
You want to talk about cons?
Yeah, let's get into a few of the cons. We really like his three-point percentage. We really like his ball handling skills. They pretty much speak for himself. Noah, what do we got for cons?
If you told me there's a guy that's 5'6" and can play like that, I would think, okay, his assist total has to be 3, 4, 5 assists a game, even in 14 minutes. His assist total is 1.9 a game, which is really concerning for a guy that is really good with ball handling.
Yep, I have to agree with that. He definitely needs to step that up a little bit because from his tapes and that I've seen, he's definitely a drive and pass type player. He drives pretty well, but he can definitely do a good job of passing underneath the basket, and he needs to step that up if he's going to play at the NBA level for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And the other concern that I have is with his dribble penetration. We've seen guys like Derrick Rose and Rajon Rondo suffer injuries because of the way they play, and Aquille Carr is smaller than both of them, and we saw Allen Iverson get beat up tremendously driving in the paint, and I think that he needs to develop more of a mid-range game because if I was a coach or if I was a teammate and I saw him driving a lot in the range, I would be worried about him possibly suffering an injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's 5'6", he's 148 apparently. That's just, he needs to bulk up a little bit, I would say. He definitely needs to bulk up a little bit. Even if he just gained like 10 pounds or something of muscle, it would be helpful. But 148 is just, it's too small. He's gonna get he's gonna get beat up a bunch, which is why I was saying that actually his dribble and step back to 3-point could be a big part of his game, and why his assists need to go up. They definitely need to go up, because he could be a dribble and kick kind of player actually if he's on a team with a good 3-point shooter besides him. That would be
absolutely.
a really good opportunity. You'd be really good in that situation. But if you're driving the lane against guys like Duncan, anybody that's, these guys are all going to be a foot and a half taller than him. That's really concerning as far as injury goes.
Well, here's the thing that's also kind of interesting. Muggsy Bogues, who of course everyone knows is a really, really good small player. On ESPN, he's listed at 5'3", 141 pounds, and he had some pretty good years when he was playing in the NBA.
I have to totally agree. But he was a steal player. He would take the ball. He would just, you couldn't find him, so he would just run, like walk around you, take the ball. And Aquille Carr, he definitely could use some work in that section of his game in steals, because he doesn't have a whole bunch of that into his game. So that, along with his field goal percentage, there are definitely things that he needs to work on. Just adding one more thing to the pro section, I really like his work ethic. Actually, he has really worked very, very hard, and we actually have some footage from his coach detailing some of that later on. So check that out. But his work ethic really shows that he is a good player, and definitely worthy of playing in the NBA.
Oh, absolutely. And also the good thing is that he's represented by an up-and-coming sports agency in Hazan Sports Management, and we'll probably have some clips of the interview, and also it'll be mentioned a little bit below. But the president of that agency was telling me that he knows that Aquille's motivated, and Aquille knows that everyone at Hazan Sports Management is motivated to make him successful, and that is the best possible duo, and that's probably the best agency that could have been representing Aquille Carr, having someone that is motivated to make him a huge success story and make them into a big name.
Totally agree. So let's talk about the draft a little bit, because we want to get into this class and just figure out like where his potential would be, potentially where he could go in the draft, and some good teams that might pick him up that would be good situations for him, good fits. So Noah, what do you think about this draft class?
I don't know if you could say it's better than the '03 draft class or '96 or '85, or the list goes on and on and on of great draft classes, but this is a really deep draft class. You have a guy like Tyler Ennis, who's doing pretty well at Syracuse, and I'm looking at Draft Express, their latest mock draft from Sunday, and they had Tyler Ennis going 14th. So that just shows you how deep this draft class is.
Yeah, well, for me, with Tyler Ennis, the big thing there is inexperience. I'm not surprised they got him going at 14, because he's a freshman, and he's a great player. I think he's a fantastic player. But inexperience and him being a little bit younger than a lot of these other guys is definitely gonna. That's something that's gonna go against him. With a guy like Aquille Carr, he's got more experience, but he's got some of those physicality things that are cons, that we talked about, that are going to be really worrisome for some teams. So it's sort of a give and take. They got to weight all these things to figure out where exactly he falls.
The thing also I find interesting, Aaron Kraft, who a lot of people probably know from Ohio State, he's been doing really well, and this is his 4th year. He's getting projected to go 24th in the 2nd round.
That's just crazy to me. I don't know. I don't know what I can do with that. If that's the case, then what about some of these other guys like Jabari Parker or something? It's crazy that a guy like Aaron Kraft is late 2nd round. I don't know what to do with that at all.
I
I
I
don't think I
see.
even agree with that. Actually, I gotta say I don't agree with him going late second round. I gotta give him probably early first round,
I don't know if I can
maybe
give him early
middle second
first.
round,
Yeah,
maybe middle of second.
mid late first. Honestly, I see two scenarios for Akil Carr. I see him being with the way this draft class is. I see him being somewhere between early second and late second round, or being an undrafted free agent that a team will see him working out, like with Jeremy Lin or all these other guys, and they'll be like, okay, come here, we're gonna give you a chance. Uh, you, we know that you're motivated. We know that you're a good player, and we unfortunately had someone higher on our draft board than you were. So we want you to prove us wrong that we should have drafted you over this guy.
And I think that could be a good situation for Akil, actually, because that would be another motivating situation. That would be like a chip on his shoulder situation where he would be able to step up and show these teams like what he can really do. That he belongs there. You know, that he should be in the NBA. That he should be playing on a good team. You know, if he goes undrafted and signs that kind of route, I think that could be a big thing for him. I've got him going probably middle of the second round at the earliest, and then at the latest he's an undrafted free agent. But I definitely see a team picking him up for sure because of the skills that he has. He's already got several good skills and he's already developing some of his other ones too. So to me, that says a lot about him.
And the thing that's also interesting with him when I was interviewing him, he's not really totally interested in being in the NBA just for the money. Obviously, he made some money playing in China. He made some money in the D League. So for him, it's just getting the opportunity. A lot of these guys, like Andrew Wiggins, Julius Randle, the list goes on and on and on. They don't have, maybe they're from good backgrounds, but they don't have a lot of money like Akil Carr has. So the thing that's going to be interesting is Akil Carr may not be holding out, being like, oh, I want more money or something like that. He'll be
Mm.
more welcoming of just getting the opportunity than a guy like Julius Randle, if he gets drafted in the wrong spot or doesn't get paid a lot of money, he could potentially be frustrated and not play as well as he wants to.
And let's be honest, that's what NBA teams are looking for. NBA teams are looking for a guy who's positive about the opportunity that he's going to have on the court, not the check that he's going to get after he plays, at the end of the game, off the court. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a guy who comes up and who says, I want to play. It's an opportunity. It's not a right. It's not entitlement or anything like that. He should be at a certain place or he should be whatever. Fill in the blank. They want a guy who's motivated, who's hardworking, and who wants to put it out on the court for them to see. That's what Akil Carr is.
And if you need, if an NBA team or an NBA scouting personnel or anything like that needs some advice on Akil Carr, you can just call Tracy McGrady or Gary Payton. He played with both of them when he was in China. I'm pretty sure they have at least some good feedback on Akil Carr. Just
Yeah.
at least some. I would say a lot, but I'm pretty sure an NBA draft personnel would listen to a guy like Tracy McGrady or Gary
Yeah.
Payton.
In case you don't already know, he actually played with those two guys in China at one point when he was over there doing his stunt abroad. His stint abroad. Sorry, my bad. So Noah, what about some teams, some good fits here that you think he would be good for?
There were two teams that easily came to my mind, and then the third one was a struggle, but I finally got a third team. The first one is the Clippers, and the reason why I say the Clippers is because you have arguably the best point guard in the league on that team in Chris Paul. Chris Paul can teach him so much about how to be great in the NBA. You have Blake Griffin, who's a rising star. You have DeAndre Jordan, who is very, very underrated double-double machine. You have Matt Barnes. You have Jamal Crawford. You have JJ Redick when he's healthy. The list goes on and on of guys this team has, and also they have a NBA championship coach in Doc Rivers, who knows how to win.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a pretty good fit for him.
Yeah, I like that one. I actually agree. I think that's a fantastic pick. Doc Rivers is a fantastic coach, and I mean There's a lot of amazing potential there for sure, and they don't really have that one like ball handler that would really be like amazing. I mean, besides Chris Paul, which Chris Paul is a great player, and I think he could learn a lot actually from Chris Paul. I think Aquille Carr could. So that's a great mentoring situation right there, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. The Clippers do have Darren Collison, but Darren Collison, who knows how long he's going to want to stay on that team as the backup point guard. He's 26 years old, and he did pretty good when Chris Paul wasn't there, so I could see him walking the first chance he gets to be a free agency.
Yeah. All right, give me another one.
The second one, you got to go with San Antonio Spurs. The way that team is structured, how is that not a perfect fit for a guy like Aquille Carr? You go into a winning environment, all they do is win, and that's not a joke. That is what they do every single year. They are in the playoffs. They've made it to the NBA Finals multiple times. They've won multiple rings just in the last, just this century. And you have Tony Parker, who is an underrated point guard. I don't know why he doesn't get enough respect for what he does, but he is a top 5 point guard in the league when healthy. Easily said and done. Top 5. You have Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan can easily teach him if he wants to know how to talk in the media. Tim Duncan is probably one of the most respected players when he talks in the media because everyone listens. He does not say much, but when he talks in the media, he makes an impact. What he says is very smart and very intelligent. Every single time reminds me of Derek Jeter when he talks.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Spurs, but I actually have the Bulls as my number 2. Couple of reasons. One, defense. They are an incredible defensive team, and Aquille Carr actually already has a good chunk of offense on his mind there. So, I mean, that could really provide some real balance to his game. Having such a defensive-minded organization. Plus, he would be a good fit because of that. Because he's scoring 10 points per game in 14 minutes per game in the D League. I mean, that could add a huge boost to their offense, and that's what they really need, actually. So it's like they both need each other in this situation. Plus, with Joakim Noah, I mean, a big man underneath, and some guys who could shoot around the outside with him, he would just be a great fit there as an assist guy. He would have to step up his game as far as how often he'd get those assists, but I mean, I think that's a very good situation for him.
And one more thing before I mention my third team.
Plus, they also have a lot of playoff experience in the past few years.
Oh, absolutely. One more thing before I mention my third team. Greg Popovich knows how to get the best of his players. Just look at Patty Mills. No one knew who Patty Mills was, and he scored 20 points a game. Gary Neal. The list goes on and on of guys that Greg Popovich has made relevant, and it's unbelievable. They were able to beat the Miami Heat last year playing bench players. That just says something.
Yeah, well, and they have, they have Luol Deng on the Bulls there, who's ridiculous. And
well, he did get traded to the Cavs.
Oh, my bad. I was gonna mention, that's right. They have Jimmer Fredette too, because you get a guy like Jimmer shooting from the outside, Joakim Noah, underneath the basket, great defense. And then you got a guy who can get the ball to them great, who's got great vision, great passing skills. I mean, that to me says a winning combination right there for those 3 guys.
And they have money in free agency. They could find a good jump shooter. They could potentially, I'm not going to say 100%, they could get a guy like Carmelo Anthony, or the list goes on and on of really good free agents this offseason.
Yep, and plus he could learn a lot from Derrick Rose's situation as far as his injuries go and that kind of stuff. He could really see firsthand what driving the lane too much does to a player.
The third team for me was really tough. You got Dallas would be a pretty good fit. You got Miami with the winning culture there. That would be a really good fit for him. But my third team, and this might surprise you, my third team is the Thunder. I think the Thunder would be a good fit for him. And the reason why, you have Westbrook. Westbrook, when healthy, is a really, really good point guard. Mm-hmm. As long as he has his temper under control. He's a really good point guard.
Yep.
You got I don't care if you call him the best player in the league or the second best player in the league, but you got Kevin Durant. I mean,
Speaks for itself. All
Kevin
right.
Durant. I don't really have to say anything more than that. You got Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka is really good. And then you also have a guy like Jeremy Lamb, who also is a pretty good bench scorer.
Mm-hmm.
You got Seth Volosha, who knows how to play defense. You got a bunch of good guys, and they always know how to draft. Ever since they moved to Oklahoma, they've had good drafts every single year.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely a good fit. I got the Spurs 3 just because, I put Bulls as 2. But I agree OKC is definitely a good place, would be a good place for him. He could learn a lot from those guys for sure.
And the one thing that the first two teams don't have is that the Thunder, the three guys, Ibaka, Westbrook, and Durant, they're all really young. They are really young also on LA, but the Clippers, big three there. I'm not saying they're a big three like Miami, but their best three players are a little bit older than what the Thunder have because Chris Paul has been in the league for years. But the Thunder are a hungry, motivated team. If you hear every time Kevin Durant talks, he says, I don't want to be second anymore. I want to be first. I want to be first. I want to be first. I'm tired of finishing second. I want to be first. Put Aquille Carr there. Aquille Carr is going to be thinking, I don't want to be second. I want to be first. I want to win. I don't want to be third string. I want to be second string. I want to be first string. Put me in there. Kevin Durant could have a great influence on him.
Yeah, well, and that's why I have the Bulls up there too, because Jimmer Fredette there, I mean, he's a young guy. He's just coming into the NBA there. I mean, he could help Aquille Carr a lot. And, I mean, there's some building blocks from a young age there that would be really, really good to moving up. I mean, they got some young guys there who could progress a long way in the next several years and make a really solid team all together instead of, like, you got one guy who's 30, one guy who's, like, 22, and then another guy who's 36 or something and is about out the door. I mean, it's just it's better team building situation there with several young guys.
The one concern I have with the Bulls is that the way Derrick Rose plays, and if Derrick Rose influences him, because Derrick Rose has already suffered 2 injuries in the last 2 years. That's the one thing that concerns me with Aquille Carr learning from a player like that. You want Aquille Carr to be healthy. You don't want Aquille Carr to be suffering injuries like Derrick Rose has because that's a deterrent in his development. You want him to have playing time, and you know what? He could be drafted, and if he doesn't get a lot of playing time, I could see a team sending him to D-League being like, look, we're not saying you're not good. We just want you to get more playing time to develop. We can't give you that much playing time here because if it's the Bulls, you have a guy like Derrick Rose, you have Jimmer Fredette, and they'll probably sign another point guard. I see Kirk Heinrich being gone at the end of this year, and DJ Augustine, I see him being out of there at the end of this year. But we want to give you playing time. We will guarantee you playing time in the NBA, but we want you to have enough playing time so you can potentially be a really good role player or a really good starter, depending on the team's philosophy.
Yeah, I agree with that, but with the way that Derrick Rose is getting hurt, I think he'd be fine. I think he'd get some playing time for sure. And I think you would learn from Derrick Rose's situation, not really like repeat it. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. Thank you for tuning in for this edition of Fourth Quarter Clutch. Stay tuned. Actually, check down later in the article. We're gonna post the interview that Noah had with Aquille Carr and with the guys from Hazan. So stay tuned to that. Check that out. And read up on him. I hope this actually sends you guys to YouTube to check him out because he's pretty insane. And come later on here, I see him doing a really good job. And we'll see what happens in the NBA. But I could see him being a fantastic player for a team and probably a steal actually, personally.
And potential more follow-up articles. Not a guarantee, but potentially more follow-up articles on Aquille Carr.
Fingers crossed. All right, guys.
Always.
Yeah. Take care. Keep it real. Let's go.